Deep beneath the dust of ages lies a secret that empires have killed to possess. A golden chest that was not merely a treasure, but a weapon of mass destruction crafted by divine instruction. It defied the laws of physics, parting raging rivers like a curtain and shattering the impregnable walls of Jericho with a single blast of sound. For centuries, the Ark of the Covenant served as the literal footstool of God on earth, a conduit where the infinite touched the finite, radiating a glory so intense that a single unauthorized glance meant instant death. Yet in a heartbeat, this supreme object vanished from the pages of history, leaving behind a silence that screams with unanswered questions. Where did the ultimate symbol of divine authority go? Is it hidden in a secret tunnel beneath Jerusalem, or guarded by monks in a remote Ethiopian chapel? Welcome to Guardians of the Covenant, your exclusive portal to unlocking the Bible's deepest mysteries. If you are ready to uncover the truth, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share our journey with the world, for we are about to decode the enigma of the Lost Ark, starting from the very moment the Creator first descended upon a burning mountain. Deep beneath the dust of ages lies a secret that empires have killed to possess. A golden chest that was not merely a treasure, but a weapon of mass destruction crafted by divine instruction. It defied the laws of physics, parting raging rivers like a curtain and shattering the impregnable walls of Jericho with a single blast of sound. For centuries, the Ark of the Covenant served as the literal footstool of God on earth, a conduit where the infinite touched the finite, radiating a glory so intense that a single unauthorized glance meant instant death. Yet, in a heartbeat, this supreme object vanished from the pages of history, leaving behind a silence that screams with unanswered questions. Where did the ultimate symbol of divine authority go? Is it hidden in a secret tunnel beneath Jerusalem, or guarded by monks in a remote Ethiopian chapel? Welcome to Guardians of the Covenant, your exclusive portal to unlocking the Bible's deepest mysteries. If you are ready to uncover the truth, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share our journey with the world. For we are about to decode the enigma of the Lost Ark, starting from the very moment the Creator first descended upon a burning mountain. In the scorching silence of the desert, the most mysterious object in the entire Bible was born. Wherever it passed, walls crumbled like dust, idols fell face down on the ground, and entire nations trembled. Even the bravest warriors fled in terror before it. But how was it built? What power dwelt among its cherubim? Why was its presence capable of killing a man with a single touch? And above all, where is the Ark of the Covenant today? Everything started when God commanded Moses to go to the top of Mount Sinai. The journey to the summit was like entering another dimension. The rock burned underfoot, and the air trembled with a heavy divine presence. When Moses finally reached the top, the cloud opened up like a portal. A golden light enveloped everything, and a voice echoed deep and vibrant, filling every speck of dust, saying, "Moses, son of Amram, listen, my people need guidance. They need my presence, and I will dwell among them. Make a sanctuary for me, according to everything I show you." So before Moses, an image was formed. The tabernacle, majestic and simple at the same time, appeared like a living temple. In the center, suspended over a bright light, was the Ark. Pure gold reflected the brightness like liquid fire. Two cherubim were leaning in, wings extended, looking at the mercy seat, the invisible throne of God who would walk with his people. The voice continued, "The Ark will be my meeting place. There I will speak with you. There I will witness my covenant." Moses memorized every detail, every path, every ornament, for it was more than a sacred object. It was the symbol of the eternal covenant. Days later, back at the camp, Moses gathered everyone. Bezalel and Aholiab approached, chosen by the Spirit. Their hands seemed guided by something beyond human skill. They melted gold, shaped acacia wood, and carved the forms of cherubim with supernatural precision. The tribes observed in reverent silence. Each strike of the hammer, each bend of the metal seemed to resonate like a prayer. When the ark began to take shape, a sense of awe spread through the camp. Some approached just for a glimpse, like someone looking at something they shouldn't stare at directly. A palpable whisper circulated, "I have never seen anything like this. The Lord will come down upon her." Months passed until the construction was finished. The tabernacle rose in the center of the tents. The people gathered in a large crowd waiting for Moses. He lifted the veil of the Holy of Holies. The ark, silently shimmering, seemed to be waiting for something. Moses took a step back. Then it happened. The cloud that had guided Israel since Egypt moved slowly like a giant waking up. The light inside it pulsed. The air vibrated. Suddenly, it came down upon the tabernacle with the force of restrained thunder. The ground trembled. The presence of God filled the camp like a living weight. Men knelt down, women covered their faces, children cried without understanding. Aaron murmured, "The ark is now your throne." The cloud rested upon the Holy of Holies and glory filled everything. That was no longer just a box of wood and gold. It was the symbol of the covenant, the spiritual heart of Israel, the meeting point between heaven and earth. But while the people celebrated, another awareness emerged in the heavy air of the afternoon. If God would march with his people, then he would also march towards war. And slowly, Israel began to realize that the ark would not just be guarded, but carried forward wherever God himself wished to lead. Dawn had barely broken when the priests began to dismantle the camp. The cloud rose slowly above the tabernacle, a sign that Israel should continue on their way. In the center of everything, surrounded by sacred silence, the Ark of the Covenant was carried on the shoulders of the Levites. They walked with measured steps, knowing that every gesture needed to be precise. It was not just an object they carried, it was the living presence of God among them. In front of the people, Moses raised his voice. "Arise, Lord, and let your enemies be scattered." The crowd replied with a shout that echoed through the valley. It was the beginning of the journey towards the promised land. Every step was accompanied by the deep sound of the shofar, marking the rhythm of the divine march. When they reached the banks of the Jordan, the waters were full and swift, fed by the rains from the mountains. The people murmured, fearing that progress was impossible. Joshua, now leading the new generation, looked at the priests and declared, "The Lord will do wonders today. Advance with the ark." The Levites took a deep breath, adjusted their garments, and walked. When they reached the riverbank, something unimaginable happened. The current stopped. The waters rose like an invisible wall, while the riverbed in front of them turned into dry land. The people crossed in silence, stunned by the glory they were witnessing. Days later, the colossal wall of Jericho appeared before Israel. Tall towers, reinforced gates, soldiers watching from above. It seemed impossible, but God had revealed to Joshua the most unlikely strategy in history. For 6 days, priests and warriors would walk around the city carrying the ark without drawing a sword. The people of Jericho mocked, laughing at the silent marching Israelites. On the 7th day, however, something changed. The ark advanced with trumpets piercing the air. Joshua raised his voice. "Shout, for the Lord has delivered the city to us." A deafening roar arose from the people, cutting through stone and dust. The ground shook. The walls began to vibrate, then crack until, with a crash like a collapsing mountain, they completely crumbled. Israel invaded the city and Jericho fell not by human force, but by the power that accompanied the ark. However, the ark did not always mean victory. At Ai, Israel suffered a bitter defeat. Confused, Joshua cried out to the Lord, "Why did you let us fall?" The answer was harsh. Hidden sin had contaminated the people. Only after
And then he said,
purification
"That's not
and
frankincense."
repentance, the ark
You did not
moved
just say
ahead of
that
them
near the
again,
tent.
and
He totally
victory
did. That is the
returned.
funniest thing I've heard
Other
all week.
battles followed. In each one, when the ark was present and the people remained pure, it seemed as though God himself walked ahead. There were days when the cloud became thick as fire and the enemies fled even before the battle began. There were nights when the Levites protected the ark with their bodies while lightning struck the enemy armies. For Israel, the ark became a symbol not only of protection, but also of identity. Every child knew how to recite the stories. All the tribes knew that where the ark rested, there was the heart of the nation. It was impossible to imagine Israel without her. The elders used to say, "As long as the Lord marches with us, we will never be defeated." But as the years went by and the campaigns multiplied, the people's faith oscillated between reverence and habit. Many began to see the ark as a charm, not as the holy throne of the living God. Young priests looked at it with dangerous familiarity. Warriors touched it without thinking, arrogantly believing, "If the ark is with us, nothing will happen to us." Although the ark still shone under the afternoon light, carried with honor by the Levites, a spiritual whisper began to emerge amidst the sounds of drums and celebrations, almost imperceptible to the human ear but roaring in the spiritual realm. When the people forget the God of the ark ceases to be their strength. Without realizing it, Israel was approaching one of the most decisive and darkest days in its entire history. Time seemed to have erased the trembling fear that once dominated the camp of Israel. The tabernacle remained in Shiloh, standing tall, but true devotion had been replaced by hollow routine. Eli, the high priest, was now elderly, with eyes dim from age and a heart heavy with sorrow, for he knew the rot had started from within. His own sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were priests by lineage but strangers to holiness. They treated the Lord's offerings with disdain, their hands staining what should have been sacred. Rumors spread through the city like a poison. If even the priests are corrupt, who will fear the Lord? Then, one morning, the horizon darkened not with clouds, but with the dust of an approaching army. Messengers arrived with breathless terror. The Philistines were advancing to war. The people gathered in panic, turning to their leader, crying, "Eli, what will we do?"
By the gods, look
The
at the
old
scale of
priest
it.
closed his tired eyes and whispered the only solution. "Seek the Lord, seek repentance." But his voice was drowned out by the clamor of fear. Instead of falling on their knees, young warriors devised a plan that chilled the hearts of the wise. "Let's bring the ark," they shouted. "If it is with us, we will win." It was a tragic mistake, treating the creator of the universe like a lucky charm. Hophni and Phinehas, seeing an opportunity for glory, smiled at each other and agreed. Eli tried to stop them, his words trembling, warning that the ark is a throne, not a totem, but no one listened. The Ark of the Covenant was torn from the Holy of Holies amidst euphoric shouts that shook the ground. When the soldiers saw the golden chest arrive, the camp exploded in such a massive celebration that the earth literally vibrated. Across the valley, the Philistines heard the roar and turned pale, whispering, "God has come into the camp. Woe to us. This is the God who struck the
High
Egyptians."
priest, you must read
Yet
this
their
immediately.
commanders forced them
The
to
elders
stand
sent
firm,
me.
shouting,
I barely
"Courage,
escaped with my
fight
life."
like men." The battle began at dawn. Dust rose in thick, choking clouds as spears clashed and shields shattered.
Forgive me, my liege.
Israel advanced with arrogance,
They are all
but something
gone.
was terrifyingly
The
wrong.
last city
The
has
ark
fallen.
was there, but the presence of God was not. Without repentance, without holiness, Israel was just an ordinary people standing before a furious army. The lines broke. Panic set in. A warrior screamed, "Protect the ark!" But it was too late. Hophni was struck down. Phinehas fell moments later. And then, in a moment that stopped the heart of the nation, the uncircumcised hands of the Philistines touched the holy bars. The ark, the throne of the living God, was captured. From Shiloh, Eli sat by the road waiting. When a messenger arrived, clothes torn and covered in dust and blood, the old priest knew the end had come. "Israel has fled," the messenger gasped. "There was a great slaughter. Your sons are dead." Eli remained still, but then the final blow came. "And the Ark of God has been captured." At these words, the weight of the tragedy was too much. Eli fell backward from his chair, broke his neck, and died. The glory had departed from Israel. If you are captivated by these ancient mysteries and want to uncover the true power behind biblical history, make sure you are subscribed to Guardians of the Covenant. We are dedicated to bringing these lost stories back to life. Click that subscribe button now, for the journey of the Ark is far from over. In fact, its most terrifying display of power was just beginning. The proud Philistines took their trophy to Ashdod, placing it in the temple of their god, Dagon, as a sign of conquest. But God is not a trophy. The next morning, the priests of Dagon entered the temple to find their idol fallen face down before the ark, as if bowing in worship. Confused, they lifted the statue back up. But the next dawn brought a more horrifying sight. Dagon had fallen again, but this time his head and hands were severed, lying on the threshold. Only the stump remained. The message was clear: there is only one God. Terror began to spread through the city. It wasn't just the statue. Tumors began to appear on the people, a painful plague that struck young and old. Rats infested their lands. No one dared to approach the glowing, silent golden chest that seemed to observe their suffering. Desperate, the leaders sent the ark to Gath, but the plague followed. They sent it to Ekron, and a deathly panic took over the city. Finally, the Philistines admitted defeat. They built a new cart, took 2 milk cows that had never been yoked, and placed the ark upon it. "Let the cows go," they said. "If they go toward Israel, then this great evil is from their God." Against all natural instincts, the cows left their calves behind and walked straight toward the border, lowing as they went, guided by an invisible hand. They did not turn to the right or to the left. The Philistine lords followed in silence, horrified and fascinated, until the cart stopped in a field at Beth Shemesh. The Israelites reaping wheat looked up and saw the glory returning. They ran to receive it, falling to their knees in joy. But even in celebration, the lesson of holiness had not been learned. Some men, driven by foolish curiosity, dared to lift the mercy seat and look inside the ark. The result was instantaneous death. God remembered Israel, but he reminded them that he is a consuming fire. The ark was then moved to the house of Abinadab in Kiriath Jearim, where his son Eleazar was consecrated to guard it. For 20 years, the ark remained there, quiet, on a hillside. Israel continued its life, getting used to the emptiness, until a man named David rose to the throne. After conquering Jerusalem and uniting the tribes, King David felt a deep spiritual unease amidst his splendor. He looked at his cedar palace and declared, "How can I live in luxury while the ark of the Lord remains forgotten? Let us bring it to Zion." The news spread like wildfire, igniting hope across the nation. David gathered the chosen men of Israel, 30,000 of them. They prepared instruments, singers, and a grand procession. David, in his zeal, ordered a new cart to transport the ark, a method learned from the Philistines, not from the law of Moses. It was a beautiful cart, reinforced and decorated, but it was a fatal error. The ark was meant to be carried on the shoulders of the Levites, lifted high by consecrated men, not pulled by beasts. Yet the crowd cheered as Uzzah and Ahio, sons of Abinadab, guided the cart. The atmosphere was electric. Harps, lyres, tambourines, and cymbals filled the air. David danced with abandon, and it seemed that the glory days had returned. But as the procession reached the threshing floor of Nachon, the oxen stumbled. The heavy cart shook violently, and the ark tilted, threatening to fall into the dust. Instinctively, Uzzah reached out his hand to steady the throne of God. It was a natural reaction, but it was an act of familiarity with the holy. At that moment, the music died. An invisible force struck Uzzah, and he fell dead beside the ark. The silence that followed was heavier than stone. The women covered their faces, the men took steps back in terror. David stood paralyzed, his joy turning to trembling fear. "How can the ark of the Lord come to me?" he whispered, his voice choked with dread. He realized that good intentions are not enough. God requires obedience. Terrified, David abandoned the journey and moved the ark to the nearby house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. For 3 months the ark remained there, and a strange thing happened. Instead of death, the presence of God brought explosive blessing. Obed-Edom's crops thrived, his family multiplied, and peace filled his home. When David heard this, he understood. God was not angry, but he must be approached the right way. This time, there would be no carts. David called the Levites and said, "No one but the Levites may carry the ark of God." They sanctified themselves. As they lifted the poles onto their shoulders, the weight of glory was balanced by the reverence of the law. Every 6 steps, they stopped to offer a sacrifice. This was no longer a party, it was worship. And as the ark ascended to Jerusalem, David danced not for the crowd, but for the audience of one, bringing the presence home at last. Gone was the careless euphoria of the past. In its place stood a trembling mixture of holy fear and explosive joy. As the ark moved toward Jerusalem, every 6 steps, King David stopped the entire procession to offer sacrifices, acknowledging that every step forward was a gift of mercy. His light linen robe moved to the rhythm of his dance, for he did not dance for show, but for the audience of one. While trumpets blasted from the city walls and children ran alongside, pointing at the golden chest shining in the sun, David danced without shame, sweaty and emotional, pouring out his soul before the Lord. High above in a palace window, his wife Michal watched with cold disdain, but her opinion meant nothing compared to the presence of God that now rested in the tent on Zion. Yet, this was not the end of the journey. David's reign brought honor to the ark, but it was his son, Solomon, who was destined to build its final earthly resting place. The Temple of Solomon rose not just as a building, but as an architectural miracle. Huge stones were cut in distant quarries so that no sound of a hammer would desecrate the sacred silence of the construction site. When the work was finished, the city filled with pilgrims for the greatest day since the Exodus. The Levites lifted the ark one last time, carrying it into the Holy of Holies to place it beneath the outstretched wings of 2 giant sculpted cherubim. As they withdrew, a hush fell over the crowd. Suddenly the cloud of glory, the Shekinah, rushed into the temple with such irresistible force that the priests could not remain standing to minister. The glory of the Lord had filled the house. For centuries the ark remained there, the silent beating heart of the nation. But as kings rose and fell, and idolatry crept into the land, the ark became a witness to Israel's spiritual decay. When the armies of Babylon finally surrounded Jerusalem, panic seized the city, and the biblical record falls into a deafening silence. In the chaos of fire and destruction, the ark simply vanished. Did the prophet Jeremiah hide it in a cave on Mount Nebo, sealing the entrance until the end of time? Did faithful priests lower it into secret tunnels beneath the Temple Mount? Or was it taken up by God himself? Babylon burned the city, but the ark was never listed among their spoils. It disappeared, leaving a void that has haunted history for over 2 millennia. Israel returned, the temple was rebuilt, but the Holy of Holies remained empty. The stone was bare, yet the story does not end in loss. Centuries later, on the jagged island of Patmos, the Apostle John looked up and saw a vision that spanned eternity. The heavens opened, lightning flashed, and there, in the true temple of God, the Ark of his covenant appeared. not made of rotting wood or earthly gold, but of indestructible glory. The message was clear. The presence of God is not limited to a box, a building, or a nation. It is eternal and it is accessible. The search for the Ark continues on earth, but its truth is already revealed in heaven. If you believe that history holds more secrets than we have been told, and if you want to be part of a community that seeks the truth behind the Bible's greatest mysteries, you are in the right place. Join us on this journey. Click the subscribe button, like this video, and become a guardian of the truth. This is Guardians of the Covenant, signing off.